the other cat's a bit windy. Yeah. You know, so, but he's a donkey. The guy's a donkey, yeah, the other cat.
Twitter all the time. He's on his yacht all the time, but guess where he's not? In the ring fighting me, so he can talk all the he wants, but the notorious MMA is scared of Jake Joseph Paul from Disney.
Jake Paul unleashed an explosive Instagram post, packed with flair, aiming to publicly embarrass his upcoming opponents in dramatic fashion.
People are just really hating right now. Like the haters are running wild.
Ever since his victory over Mike Tyson, he's been strutting around like a walking jackpot, acting as if fame and fortune automatically shower anyone bold or foolish enough to face him in the ring.
Okay, wait, so...
But yeah, let's do it. You're going to become WWE champion.
I think so, too. I mean, bro, the ultimate goal...
His arrogance is absolutely off the charts, splashed across his podcasts, videos, and every promotional stunt he dreams up. And it's not just his opponents he's targeting. He's firing shots at the biggest names in the game. Mayweather, Conor, Khabib, and more. But yesterday, he outdid himself with a stunt so over the top. It set a new bar for ridiculousness, even by Jake Paul standards.
He's like 34 or something.
I think he's like 32, maybe 30.
That's old.
31, 32.
That's old. He fits.
Let's talk about Jake Paul's latest Instagram post. A masterclass in chaos, blending shameless arrogance with just enough brilliance to make you begrudgingly admire its effectiveness. Posted by Most Valuable Promotions, Jake's personal hype machine, the post embodied their simple yet effective strategy. Make Jake Paul impossible to ignore. Whether through viral stunts, outrageous trash talk, or content that has boxing purists clutching their pearls, MVP thrives on spectacle, and this time they absolutely nailed it. The post featured Jake, grinning like he'd just solved world hunger, standing front and center with a literal bag of cash prominently displayed, because subtlety is clearly not his thing. Behind him stood the pièce de résistance, a comically exaggerated waiting line of boxing's biggest stars, each seemingly vying for a shot at him.
He kind of went right down the list of joking. He's kidding. You're not supposed to believe any of that to be true.
Picture this: Ryan Garcia, Floyd Mayweather, Gervonta Davis, and Conor McGregor, all cartoonishly drawn as if they're desperate contestants clamoring for a golden ticket to the Jake Paul show. The sheer audacity of it was staggering. Floyd Mayweather, a man who casually earns GDP-sized paychecks from exhibition fights, portrayed as groveling for Jake's attention. Conor McGregor, who likely has a garage dedicated solely to his fleet of yachts, depicted as waiting in line like he's stuck at the DMV. The whole thing was absurd, over the top, and exactly what Jake wanted. A perfect mix of outrage and buzz. Let's not pretend Most Valuable Promotions stumbled into this brilliance by accident. This is textbook MVP strategy. Jake Paul's entire persona revolves around the idea that he's the one everyone is chasing, the walking payday, the human lottery ticket. By posting this, MVP doubled down on the narrative that Jake Paul is the new gravitational force in boxing, the guy everyone wants a piece of. Sure, the execution might have been borderline ridiculous, but the strategy was flawless. People are talking, debates are flying, and Jake is doing what he does best, keeping himself firmly in the spotlight.
How much money could you reasonably walk out of this fight with?
350 million.
$350 million.
Yes.
Wow. I know you love money, right? I mean,
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
What do you do with all this money?
And, cash is king.
Do you have an ATM card?
I'm the human ATM.
But here's the kicker. Do legends like Mayweather and McGregor actually need Jake Paul? Floyd Mayweather, with a staggering $450 million fortune, doesn't rely on Jake's cash-grabbing theatrics to stay relevant. Nicknamed Money for a reason, Floyd has been printing wealth for years, whether through mega fights or simply grinning at events for hefty appearance fees. For him, fighting Jake would be a novelty act, not a necessity. Then there's Conor McGregor, whose $200 million net worth is bolstered by a portfolio of ventures, from Proper No. 12 whiskey sales to lucrative business deals that ensure he's more than comfortable. Conor doesn't need to join Jake's circus. He's already performed on the biggest stages, and sharing a ring with a YouTuber-turned-boxer isn't exactly a career milestone for someone who's already faced Mayweather. Sure, the fight might sell, but for icons like Floyd and Conor, Jake Paul is more buzz than substance, not a step forward, but a sideshow.
There's a chance that Conor McGregor will not fight again for the UFC?
I don't know. Conor McGregor's got a lot of money. And, anytime we get Conor, we'll be happy to, be thrilled when he comes and fights. But
here's the twist. Jake knows these guys don't need him, and he doesn't care. Because for Jake Paul, it's not about facts, it's about attention. He thrives on controversy, on playing the villain, and on making people argue about him. He's not just poking at one boxer, he's taking swings at the entire industry, declaring that he's the one who matters now. And the wildest part? It's working. Love him or hate him, Jake Paul knows how to command your attention. Which brings us to his rumored next fight, Conor McGregor. It's not happening because Conor needs Jake. It's because fighting McGregor is Jake's childhood dream. For months, the internet has been buzzing with whispers of a potential showdown between the YouTuber-turned-boxer and the Irish MMA icon. This all started back in 2021, when Jake kicked off one of his signature trash-talking campaigns, aimed squarely at McGregor. He mocked Conor's loss to Dustin Poirier, challenged him on social media, and used every trick in his playbook to get the Irishman's attention. While McGregor mostly brushed him off, credible insiders have hinted that some behind-the-scenes talks may have actually taken place.
I understand that. But the engagement that you gave to Conor, I gotta assume he was kidding. It was so outlandish, he was kidding.
Ariel Helwani, the go-to insider for all things combat sports, hinted in early 2023 that informal talks about a Jake Paul versus Conor McGregor fight had taken place. But let's be real, the hurdles were enormous. For starters, McGregor's fight purse demands were astronomical, and Jake's boxing resume didn't impress hardcore fans. Scheduling was another nightmare. McGregor was still recovering from the brutal leg injury he suffered against Dustin Poirier in 2021, while Jake was busy padding his boxing record by fighting a mix of retired legends and MMA veterans. Timing wasn't just bad, it was a disaster. Then there's the UFC factor. Conor remains under contract with Dana White's empire, and if there's one thing we know about Dana, it's that he's not keen on his fighters stepping into a boxing ring unless there's absurd money on the table. Think McGregor versus Mayweather levels of cash. And let's be honest, Jake's track record of boxing retired MMA stars and YouTube personalities wasn't exactly a compelling pitch for Dana or McGregor back then. The pieces simply didn't align, and the fight felt like a pipe dream.
He doesn't do what Conor couldn't. I think, it only makes sense for him to want that money fight, but I just don't know how serious he's taking fight.
Let's not kid ourselves. This fight isn't off the table. If there's one thing Conor McGregor loves, it's attention, and a paycheck the size of a small country's GDP doesn't hurt. Meanwhile, Jake Paul thrives on stirring chaos. His relentless taunts, from calling McGregor washed up to dragging his personal life into the spotlight, might eventually push Conor to take the bait. Let's face it, McGregor stepping into Jake's world would dominate headlines for months, feeding both of their insatiable appetites for the spotlight and the spectacle.
10 seconds.
The real question is, if this fight happens, is Jake Paul setting himself up for the most humiliating moment of his career? On paper, the odds aren't in his favor. While Jake has shown improvement as a boxer, his most notable wins have come against opponents either past their prime or inexperienced in boxing. Conor McGregor, on the other hand, is an elite striker who spent years at the top of combat sports, going toe-to-toe with the world's best. Sure, McGregor's recent MMA record hasn't been stellar, but boxing is a different game, one that relies on precision, timing, and fight IQ. These are all areas where Conor excels. Look no further than his 2017 bout with Floyd Mayweather. Despite stepping into an entirely different sport, Conor held his own for several rounds against one of the greatest boxers in history. That's no small feat. Meanwhile, Jake has yet to face anyone remotely on Conor's level. If he steps into the ring with McGregor, he's not just risking a loss, he's walking into a masterclass as the unprepared student who forgot to study.
So you just got to be worried of that. So, but I just think, mate, fake weather and that is normal. And be careful and be in his face, and I just think it's really, mate,
Then there's Conor McGregor's mental game. McGregor doesn't just fight opponents. He breaks them mentally before the bell even rings. From Jose Aldo to Eddie Alvarez, Conor has gotten inside the heads of some of the toughest fighters in the world, and it's been a game changer. Jake might think he's the king of trash talk, but Conor wrote the playbook. If these two ever square off, Jake could find himself mentally outmatched long before the gloves are even laced. Physically, the odds don't favor Jake either. Sure, he's bigger, but Conor's speed, precision, and ability to create angles make him a nightmare for someone like Jake. Jake's usual strategy relies on size and power, but against someone as sharp and explosive as McGregor, that might not be enough. One well-timed counter from Conor could easily turn the fight into a highlight reel. For McGregor, not Jake.
Makes sense for him to want that money fight, but I just don't know how serious he's taking fighting at all. And I don't know how serious the fighting world's taking him. Like, who knows if he still has that same appeal.
Let's not forget Jake Paul's overconfidence. It's his trademark, but it could also be his downfall. Jake thrives on the belief that he can beat anyone, but that level of arrogance doesn't work against someone like Conor McGregor, who has fought and beaten the best in the world. If Jake steps into the ring thinking he's going to school Conor, he might find himself in for a harsh dose of reality, and maybe a viral knockout clip to go with it. Still, you have to hand it to Jake. Whether or not this fight happens, he's already won in one way. He's got people talking. Love him or hate him, Jake Paul knows exactly how to keep the spotlight on himself. This potential fight with McGregor is just another way he's staying relevant. Whether it's genius or madness, one thing's for sure: Jake Paul isn't going anywhere, and neither is the chaos he brings.